In this series, we look at some of the greatest knocks that I've seen and what made them so special. Today is the turn of Rishab Pant and his 101 versus England in Ahmedabad. This innings for me is one of the modern day great hundreds, and I feel it doesn't really get enough of a look in. This was the England tour of India in 2021, and as with all home series, India carry a certain weight of expectation to win. However, in the first test of that tour, India produced a typical slow Indian pitch that deteriorated over time. With England winning the toss and batting first, we saw how Joe Root thrives in these conditions, scoring a majestic double hundred, and now with the pitch starting to turn, and with Jack Leach supported by Jimmy Anderson keeping it tight and showing his skills with the reversing ball, England won that match. India then turned it around in the next two tests and produced absolute minefields. So much so that in the third test, Joe Root managed to take 5 for 8 runs, and India won those tests thanks to some unbelievable batting from Rohit Sharma. Then came the final test. At 2-1 up, India knew a loss would mean the trophy would be shared, which as an Indian side they knew would put question marks against them. Also, it would have put their World Test Championship place in jeopardy. This pitch wasn't overly spin friendly, but by day 3 or day 4 it was definitely going to take large amounts of turn. But there was a score to be had, and England won the toss and batted first. And you felt that if they could just make 300, they would be in the driving seat. England made a below par 205, and you felt that India would boss the match. However, Anderson and Stokes came out and gave a masterclass on how to build pressure. Supported by Jack Leach, after 28 overs they had India at 43 for 3, going at 1.53 and over. Then Rahane briefly came out and put some pressure back on the bowlers, but when he edged Anderson for 27 at the end of the morning session of day 2, India were 80 for 4 and going nowhere fast at 2 runs and over. After lunch, Pant and Rohit were rebuilding the innings, and you felt that India had to get at least parity in this innings, as a chase in the 4th innings would be really tricky. When Stokes got Rohit to leave India 121 for 5, and then by lunch they had Ashwin to get India at 146 for 6, the next passage would be defining for this test match. With a deficit of 55 runs, could England bundle India out? Pant and Washington Sundar had to battle hard after lunch, with Stokes and Anderson being bowled into the ground. They were going along nicely against the spin of Best and Joe Root. The key moment came in the 61st over, where Best thought he had Pant trapped LBW. Pant was saved by the umpire's call. Pant brought his 50 up off of 86 balls, and India had whittled away the lead to 10 just prior to the second new ball being taken, and England reintroduced Stokes. From this point, Pant seized the opportunity and he hit Stokes and Root for 18 off 2 overs. But the magic really started when Jimmy Anderson took the new ball. In his first 2 balls, he smashed 2 fours, and then in Anderson's second over, he reverse swept arguably the greatest bowler in the history of the game for 4. And then he brought his 100 up with a 6 of Joe Root of just 115 balls. And now with India having a lead, the game was in their favour, despite Pant being dismissed on 101 shortly after. Washington Sundar carried on and gave India an eventual lead of 160, and England capitulated for 135 to give India the match. For me, why this is such a special century is the game awareness of Rishab Pant. He showed both sides of his game. He had to ride the tough periods with Jimmy Anderson and Stokes bowling well, but when he had an opportunity to put pressure on the opposition and really put his foot on the throat of the opposition, he took it and played some breathtaking shots that we know Rishab Pant only can play. But let me know what you thought of this innings in the comments, and if you like this video, please subscribe.